Hi, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, look at that, it's right on 12 o'clock and I'm still up. we had a very late night last night and an early morning this morning, so yeah, sometimes it's like that, and too much coffee today, and here I am again. Well, I really wanted to, well, like my title, well, I'm hoping that this will be my title. It can get caught in the mix when Beth is doing the editing and the title may get changed, but I wanted to say that there's more to being paid than money, and looking at what we do, I know that it may seem like all we're doing is dashing about here and there, giving stuff away, and that it's all outgoing on us. We do get paid, of course. If it was calculated as part of, say, an American being paid and two of us working, we're getting a few pesos. We're getting a few pesos an hour is how it works out. But there's more to it than that, you know. I had just today, we went round and we took with us a big bag that was one of the big blue bags that we got from the karate family. Now, people get caught up in the giving, and it really does make a huge difference to how you feel about life when you give. Now, the karate family, that giving started with, I think this is how I'm reading it, it started with the man and so the father and the mom, and they started off, it was an adult thing, and I guess at some point their kids got in with it as well, and so they wanted it changed. The children wanted it changed to the karate family, and then we heard from them very recently after they sent 2 boxes, and they were saying how thrilled the kids were to see some of their old toys bringing a smile to the face of a kid standing in the dirt in the Philippines. There's nothing like it. Now, so what's the other side of getting paid? Well, the other side of getting paid is that, I mean, for instance, when baby Jane broke her leg, amazingly, this little girl had a broken leg for a week. It doesn't bear thinking about. If you're a Westerner, had a broken leg for a week, had it massaged before we ever got there. So when we got there, we had all kinds of difficulties in understanding why that would happen. So it's not just about money, it's about learning as well, because what you learn is that those expressions that you have always interpreted as being in a certain way, I mean, for instance, if somebody smiles, it usually means that they're pleased or happy. If they smile, they're pleased. If they laugh, they're happy, even if it's only momentarily. And here it really doesn't mean the same thing. So the body language is all different. And I know the feeling that I had when we took the baby Jane, and we took her to the hospital in Obai. Now, the mother couldn't come with us. She had an infant that was in the house that she had just given birth to, in fact. And so, with a great deal of struggle, we took baby Jane and kind of just walked out the door, which is not without risk. I mean, we could be had up for kidnapping, couldn't we? And we got her to the hospital, and once again, difficult to understand how things are done here when they're done so differently. I held baby Jane in my arms for several hours, from going into the hospital to being told, well, the key question, when did this happen? Well, it happened a week ago, and I didn't get any further. We were told via Beth, go to outpatients. If it happened a week ago, it's not an emergency. Well, we went and sat in outpatients for quite a while. In the end, I started behaving like a foreigner, and I said, this is no good. And I walked into the emergency, and there's several nurses, and they're sitting behind a desk, and they're doing their job. It's just not something that, because of the language thing, that I understand. So I say to them, you need this little girl has a broken leg. Isn't that an emergency? I want someone to look at this little girl. As you've seen on some of my other videos, I didn't handle it completely calmly, but certainly never nasty. I said, for God's sake, this is an emergency. She's got a compound fracture, both bones. And they finally got the message. Well, as so often is the case, I found out that the doctor had already been called, and there was nothing that they could do because it would be the bone doctor who would set the leg. The bone doctor came specially for the baby, and her leg was done. And we went home. The fact that that little girl was able to let me pick her up, take her to the truck, put her inside the truck, and drive, I think, over an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get to Hubei, and then to the hospital. A frightening situation for any kid. She's only about 6 years old, 5 or 6, without ever complaining. You know, I wonder how I would, what I'd be doing if I'd broken my leg in 2 places and somebody was picking me up and carrying me out somewhere. Somehow doubt I would be so brave, but this little girl was an incredible, brave little soldier. Well, that means that all of her community is called Baby Jane's community, and then you get various kids, and they reward you. It's not about money. They reward you incredibly. That little community there is about 6 or 7 kids, and they love to travel in the Big Blue. That it's a huge treat for them. So they always say to me, can we go to Tanghalige to pick up the other kids? So they don't just want to be dropped off. So then I pick them up to take them home again, and they want to go everywhere else first and be dropped off last. My reward is that I have these 6 beautiful children in the front. I know all about the safety belt thing, but we're in the Philippines, and they sing to me. It's a humbling experience that 6 little girls will actually sing to you and know that you enjoy it, and they sing at the top of their voices as we go along the road. Is being paid about money? No, I don't think so. And then whenever we arrive at the church, outside of the church, the kids all hear us coming, and they associate the truck, whether it's the Big Blue or whether it's the Little Red, and they associate that with pleasure, and I get a welcome that is worthy of a king. It's an amazing experience, and so I call this my Sunday driving job, and it's something that I would never give up. I don't care how rich I would be. I would never want to give that up, because it's such an incredible pleasure. Once, when I was really tight for time, and we have all of these people, they all have these emotive names that we've given them, that Beth has given them, like the three little girls. The three little girls is actually four little girls, but three little girls stuck. And then there's the house of the paralyzed man, and then there's lots of others, things that just pop out of Beth's mind when she's working out what to title something so that you will look. The house of the paralyzed, no, not the house of the paralyzed man. What about the house of the unfaithful husband? The one that found another family and left a family of, I think, 5 children, and the house was falling down, and we went in and we built another house. How that family looked at us when we gave them the house is actually priceless. We had 2 houses that were by the side of the road that we used to drive by a lot, and they were just no better than a tumble-down, wrecked, abandoned tool shed in the West. And you had these 2 houses very close together, and you could see that there were lots of children playing there. So we said at some point, Beth and I agreed, and every time we would pass we would say, we've got to build those houses, and they're just off the road. Well, what do we call those houses? They're called the rag houses. And so the children are the rag house kids. We see some other kids, and they're on the road that we have to go down, that we've recently had graded, and we would see, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 children. The oldest is Geraldine. She's a young lady now, but she's the boss of the other kids, and they love to travel in the front. And they are called the Carabao kids, because from the tiniest to up to Geraldine, who is about 11, they're the Carabao kids. It's amazing. The pregnant lady is another one, a title. She was pregnant. She was heavily pregnant with a child due to come, and she came to us at church and she said, could you, I have to move out of the house that I'm in. I've got 2 children, I have to move out of the house. But she said, very close by there's a tiny little house that could be bought for 3,000 pesos. So we said, we'll come along and see. And we went down there, and we went down to view. Well, by the time that we got there, which was a couple of days later, the house for 3,000 was no longer available. So we went out the back to where the house that we eventually built could be built, and the pregnant lady said, if you could just build me a tiny house, I would be happy with the tiniest little house. And it could be done in the totally traditional Filipino way, so that if I ever have to move, well, they could up it and move it and carry it and take it to another place. The house will be mine. That's what we did. Now, she has a young girl who is the shyest little girl ever. And I remember, I was about to tell you this, I remember that I dropped everybody off at church, and I was on my way down to Itafi to order up materials for the next house. And I saw the daughter of I've delivered everybody, and no one was there for the pregnant lady. So as I'm passing, I'm going in the wrong direction now, going to Itafi, away from the church, and I've done my work. And I see this tiny little girl standing by the side of the road in a red dress. And she's waiting for me to take her to church. And I drove past, I say, I have to go this way. Well, emergency stop about another 100 yards, and I turn around and I pick up the little girl and I take her to church. How could I not do that? So is what we do about money. Sorry for the naysayers, but you have no idea of the rewards that we have. Have a look at the video of, this has become one of my favorite videos that we've made. Have a look at how we gave the box that the karate family had made up. And the children of the karate family had obviously had a big hand in this, because there were different things which came from them. And it was marked on a piece of paper saying to the handsome blind boy, the handsome half-blind boy, Boyette. His name is Boyette, and his left eye has never been a seeing eye from birth. He was half-blind from birth. This is a boy with $1 million smile. And he was helped to open the box by Beth, because there was a lot of stuff in there, and we actually need to do it and get the video made and get the gifts out. So he sat there stunned and overwhelmed, probably never had a birthday present in his life or a Christmas present, because he comes from a very poor family, and he was stunned and silent. And he started to smile, but it was a funny moment, because all around him are the same 7 little girls that I just got through telling you sing to me when they come in the front with me in the blue truck. And they are all there, and they're watching him receive all of these presents, piece after piece after gift, all for Boyette. And they are just full of smiles, full of pleasure. They love watching it, and it's evident. I'm not describing something that you have to try to imagine. Go and look at the Boyette, the gift giving, whatever that title is, I'm not sure. But those little girls were so happy for Boyette. It was incredible. And not one of those other children received a single gift. Nothing. Not any candies, no sweets, nothing. They just stood there with shining faces and watched Boyette be spoiled to death for possibly the first time in his life. So the highlight of that little thing came when Beth unpacked a pair of sunglasses, and she opened the sunglasses and she put them on Boyette, and all of the little girls just pealed with laughter and joy at Boyette, who looked so cool in his sunglasses. It was a really magical moment, just amazing. And so it's not about money. It's not about money. We had enough in the beginning. We had enough to live on. We were living, and we were doing okay. Actually, before we ever started our YouTube channel, we'd managed to build a road, rough road admittedly, but a road that a truck could get up. And we had built our house. And I built the house single-handed because we couldn't afford to hire anybody to help us. So I used metal stud because it wasn't heavy, and I built the house. So we were doing okay. So we never thought about making money. Now we've got money coming in, and life is much easier. Life is often, compared to before, it's luxurious. Still don't have all of our windows, and we don't have a kitchen, but that's another thing, and we're not complaining. We go and eat every night as a family in Nanai's very modest little house. Very modest little house. It's virtually unchanged for 50 years. So that gives you an idea. So we are paid in excess for what we do, just by the joy that we actually see. And sometimes can be quite overwhelming. If you ever saw the video of the skeleton house, sometimes people say their problem is that we make too many videos. Well, that's what we do, and that's how in the beginning, when we were just getting a few hundred views on this and a few hundred views on that, by releasing a lot of videos, making and posting a lot of videos, we managed to overcome that, so that we didn't need to be seeing thousands of views, because we were making hundreds and hundreds of views on different videos. But if you go and look at the skeleton house we passed a little bit like the rag houses, that we passed this house and it was like, I used to say it's like a skeleton, because it's only the wood frame, and it had a few pieces inside of what looked like plywood, and we didn't think anybody lived there. And then the more that we passed it on our way to Dubai, where we were building 4 houses, we really began to realize that this is a family that's very, very poor. So one day we stopped and we went in there with a video camera, and we spoke to the lady, always welcomed into every house that we've ever been in. And we don't intrude, we go in and we are polite and respectful and say, can we come in? Can we see your house? And we saw this pitiful house. And the woman later confided in Beth that she had given up all hope of ever being able to finish the house. Well, this was early days, and we didn't know what we could raise money on and what we couldn't. So we made a video and we spoke to the husband. The husband was there, and we said, through Beth obviously, tell him we can't make a promise, but we will try to help them. What they needed was, they needed the materials to be able to clad the house and make it into a home. They had 7 children. 7 children. They'd had 9 children in their life, and 2 had died. The husband was not overwhelmingly friendly, and my take on it intuitively was that he was thinking, yeah, a big mouth foreigner, yeah, we'll see, maybe, we'll never see them again. Probably, he said to his wife, don't get your hopes up, we'll never see them again. Well, we raised the money, and we bought, in fact I think we may have done it on a leap of faith, but anyway, we bought all of the cladding, and what we did was we pledged them 3 men to work on putting the cladding up. Probably a day would do it. And we got Pastor Gilbert, who is my brother-in-law, Beth's brother-in-law, and 2 men to go down there, workers, and work a full day helping to get the house clad. So we dropped off the materials, and there was only a young teenage girl who was babysitting the other children. So not much joy on finding out what was happening. So I just lifted the materials off the back of our little red truck, and I was in the act of putting the materials in the front of the yard, in front of the house, when the mother came. And when the mother saw what we were doing, she knew straight away that we'd come back as we promised. And this is really unusual for a reserved Filipino woman, she threw her arms around me and hugged me and said thank you. And as I said, she told Beth we'd given up all hope of ever being able to have a home. So, are we paid? We're paid too much, really. Well, that's enough waffling from me, as somebody said to me. in a post today, in a comment today, I like what you say, but you're a little bit long-winded at times. Sorry about that. Foreigner in the Philippines, please like, comment, subscribe. We're almost at the next 1,000. I think that's 37,000. We've only got 10 subscribers to make in order to make the next big amount. Please, if you haven't subscribed already, you could be part of that 10 that would take us into our next big one. I think 37,000. Not quite sure. Could be 36, could be 37,000. You could do that. It's only 10. It's only 10 subscribers needed. So try and be one of them, please. This is a foreigner in the Philippines, an overpaid foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.